All right, so let's get into Friday's recap positions and focus list for Monday. So as you can see, I did no new buys on Friday. There was nothing for me to do. I did end up closing HTZ. I did end up closing HTZ for a 4-hour trade. It never ended up really it never ended up really pushing higher, although I think it still could go next week, but ended up closing that out. That was the only trade I did. I closed this, closed under the 10 moving average, broke out this day, and then just sat in this range. If it gave an inside candle, it would be a really nice setup. And as you can see here, the weekly looks coiled up as well. So another low volume inside week could definitely be a good one to buy and something I'm watching. But for now, closing to the 10. SOXX, another closing to the 10. I should probably turn on my okay. Yeah, so up $1,000 on SOXL. Coin made new highs. We actually hit a new all-time high on Coin. This was the previous all-time high, and we went through that, went up to 445, so new all-time high on Coin, which is cool. Up about $1,300. It did reject on some volume, which is maybe a little bit concerning, but overall, I mean, what a move. Really nice move. You can't complain with a new all-time high. I bet we did close half of this. Bitcoin tried to break out and then ended up coming right back. So I closed out half. You can see the volume too increase. So I closed out half. I'm going to trail the other half with this 10 moving average. It might just form a base here and then make another leg up, which I would gladly have my shares back. But for now, going to protect some gains and sold half. ASTS, man, what a move. I thought this would just have a rest day, but nope. Closed up 1% on the day, and it did make new highs by 5 cents. So this thing is just super strong. Shumia, so I actually anticipated getting stopped out on this. As you can see, my stops are in profit, so I don't really care what happens on this trade. However, it closed pretty nicely, and well, it didn't close nicely, but like it held this breakout low. It held the low, put in an inside day. The clear level at 472. This is obviously the level at this point. 472, 471 is the level. Maybe I'll add more into this thing, but another low volume day. It did close above the inside week, so that I think looks good. And I'm going to put my stop at the low of the breakout day for all the shares now. So 450, sell stop, and then we'll do 1,300 shares. Alright, so I got my stop loss at the low, my entire position at the low of yesterday, and we'll see what happens with that. ARQQ, this has, so this tried to break out. You can see it made a really big push to 46.49. If we go to this, I mean, look at the 1 minute candle out of the gate. Huge push, a 7% 1 minute candle, and then went higher and then just did nothing. Took out the low, tried to rally back through, came back lower, tried to rally back through, and closed below the inside candle. It hasn't done anything wrong for my position. I'm up about 800 bucks, so I'm not going to trim any yet. But the weekly looks pretty good. If you look at the weekly, it closed above last week's inside week. So we just need to break out to 53 plus, and I will be not concerned with this at all. But you know, it did close pretty bad. If it gapped up and then took out the high, that could be a good setup on this for next week. But it hasn't done anything wrong yet, and I'm just going to let it work. If it comes and takes out this low right here, I will happily stop out of my position and sell it. But the projection volume was still lower than this breakout day volume, so I'm not too concerned. CRCL, this was a pretty nasty rejection, I do have to admit. It made a really nice move up to here and then just completely faded the rest of the day. I mean, look at this. Huge move, huge volume, and then just a fade, and stayed heavy the entire day. It did close below the hourly 20, which is a warning sign for me. If it can hold this 220 support, I will stay in it. But if it does take out that 220 support, then I would be inclined to sell a little bit and back off a little bit, because this is a pretty brutal reversal day. The only positive I would say is this buy volume was still higher than the sell volume, which it looked like the rejection volume was going to be a lot higher. It wasn't. It hasn't done anything wrong yet, but you know, it is something to watch out for, just in case. So I'm going to keep a close eye on this. Below this 220 level, I might trim some and tighten up my risk of it. QBT, Quantum is hot, man. Check out this weekly, though. This big weekly cup and handle. Like, I look at all these Quantum stocks. ARQQ, weekly cup and handle. QUBT, weekly cup and handle. Inside week. You know, this thing looks like pretty fucking tight. You could add over that inside week high. Maybe I'll do that. But close fine. I did move my stop to break even, so my stop's at 1890. I'm not going to risk any more on this after it, you know, came back down, wicked off, and then closed pretty well. So here's my stop at this low right here, because it came down intraday, you know, made new highs, came down, then took out this high, and so I'm moving my stop up to break even, and it should not retest this if it's going to go. And yep, that's my kind of thinking with that. TMC, haven't done anything with this, down 12 bucks. I don't have much size in this, so I don't really care about it. Formed a inside candle, so did nothing wrong. Clean level as well at 786. Could add above that. Low volume, so I'm not worried about that. Tron, just an inside candle, did nothing wrong. it looks pretty good. And if it can get above the high of this inside candle, maybe we see new highs above 13, maybe a push to 14 or 15. We'll see what happens with that. Focus list. Lucid delayed EP setup. So inside candle after a gap up. It's above all moving averages. I'd be inclined to maybe try a small position. I wouldn't mind. Traded some pretty huge volume. Is this the highest volume ever? It certainly looks like it. So this was the highest volume ever. So above that high, and I would be inclined to try a small position. And if it's going to be a real mover, it's going to have multiple legs. So this trade's huge dollar volume. It's a 680R. It can speed up way faster than that. So above this high, I would definitely be inclined to try some. SED-G, it actually broke out. I already talked about this, but solar looks ready. It broke out and then just closed on the breakout. So I might just buy some at the open and use this low day as my stop because I did free up some buying power. On top of that, run looks pretty coiled here. I should probably make this video when I have more energy, but whatever. Lower highs, higher lows. I mean, this is a pretty clean flag when you look at this. This looks pretty clean. Your only critique would be, well, SED-G, made new highs. Run didn't make new highs. SED-G broke out on Friday. Run put in the inside candle. Nonetheless, it's the same group, and they both look pretty good. I tried to buy both of them on the 15th, but I would be inclined to try both of them again on Monday. QBTS, I mean, look at the quantum names, as I said. A huge cup and handle, big base, and then you have the handle on the weekly above. Like, this is about to break out to new all-time highs. Looks really good. Inside month, last month. Dude, this looks pretty sick. You now have an inside candle at the highs of this base. Higher lows, lower highs. I would be inclined to try some above this inside candle. And then a breakout to new highs, which is 1977, as you can see. So above 1907, I'd try some, and then your confirmation would be 1977, which is this left side peak. Again, the entire quantum sector looks really good, and I'd be willing to try this as well. Tron, already talked about this. Inside candle, I probably wouldn't trade this. It is against my rules to trade this because it's had an 8% change day. So I'm technically not allowed to trade this. And I won't trade it, but I do want to watch it. And hypothetically, I want to see how it acts if it does break out. Maybe in the future I could break this rule. But for now, it is against my rules to trade this, so I would not trade this. But, you can kind of see the setup here. And the high 1280, they wick to the exact same price. So above 1280, you probably going to move to 14 plus. USAR, pretty linear move up. I mean, small sideways at the base of the highs of this base. It's formed a huge, a huge flag. Higher lows, lower highs. Had a double inside candle, so it is somewhat tight. Like a little 3-day consolidation. Volume's a little bit dried up. It's not that great of a setup. This does look like a pretty clear level, though, as you can see. Worked off of it here, worked off of it here. Inside candle here. So if you can get above this inside candle, maybe I would try a small position, nothing crazy. But it actually does look decent, and the sector is pretty hot. The rare earth mineral sector. So that concludes my main watches. HTZ, I'm just watching for the high of this inside week to maybe buy back some of my shares. I do think if this thing gets going, it can make a big move. Made a linear move right here, made a linear move right here, failed to make a linear move right here, but it hasn't technically done anything majorly wrong. It's holding this 20, and I'm curious to see what happens with this. BNMR, I'm not even going to, well, yeah, I guess I'll go over it. It's just a small little flag, higher lows, lower highs. Not my traditional setup, but it is pretty tight. 1% change day, and the main appeal to this is like this thing went down 70% in 3 days. 71% at the lows. You just get a quick move back up to this high right here. It's 56%. I doubt you back to all-time highs, but 235% there after a really beaten down move. So it is not bad risk reward. I would be inclined, maybe I would try a super, super small position just to say fuck it. But overall, not my big cup of tea. And then that's all I got. So, a pretty, the market didn't act that good on Friday. You have this higher sell volume, gap and fade. Gap and fade. The market is up 32% without a correction. Doesn't really mean anything. We can still go higher. Bitcoin looks like it wants a breather. But, we're getting pretty up there. Doesn't mean anything. Does not going to affect how I trade. But it's something to keep in mind. And it is in the back of my mind. So that's all I got. Appreciate you guys for watching, and have a good one. Sorry for the low energy.